So we're here with Julie. Tell me your last name again because it changed. Pantages, yeah. I know her as Julie Wilkins. So you're here with a standard poodle. You're going to do a little bit of a demo here, and you're with Easy Groom.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about this trim? First, tell me, what is the purpose of a Continental trim?
The purpose of a Continental is when these dogs were used as water retrievers, they would retrieve ducks for the hunters from the icy water. So to free them up in the water so they wouldn't be logged down with all their long hair, they would shave their legs. But they wanted to leave hair on all the joints to keep them to keep them warm in the water so they wouldn't become arthritic in their old age. So they leave hair on the pastern here in the front and the hock in the back. These are the two hip bones right here, and on the body to protect all the organs. And then the tail was used as a flag to the hunter so he could see where his dog was.
Okay. Now, I'm sure some people watching that aren't familiar with wrapping the coat or banding the coat. Can you explain why your dog looks like it has antennas?
Well, aside from his many magical powers, this helps to keep his hair out of his face, out of his eyes, out of his food. We wrap the ears because they're very long, and he would just chew them off, and he'd have them in his water bowl and, be chewing them with treats. So this just protects the ears and, promotes growth, helps the coat to grow out. On the back here, it just keeps it gathered up, helps to prevent it from matting. And again, promotes more growth because you want to grow this as long as possible. Right. So when I take him to the show, I can spray it all up and he has a nice big top knot.
Okay, now when you take those out, though, you wouldn't just roll that across the coat. You would cut each of those bands out because otherwise you'll break the coat, right?
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of groomers might take these and pull them out and you'll damage the coat. So you actually want to get special little band snippers to cut them out, or suture removers are really great if you have access to those, and those are perfect for removing the bands. That way you're not cutting or damaging any of the coat.
Okay. So can you give us a little demonstration of some of the scissoring you would do on a I see you have some curved shears there.
Yeah,
so do you find curved shears to be the best thing to achieve a rounded edge?
Absolutely, especially on a trim like this because the entire trim is rounded. It's all circles and rounded. So it's going to give you a nice finish, and the entire trim is just one big circle all the way around. So that way you can come right around up and into your top knot with the curves.
Now, how high up do you go on the leg? Is it to the elbow, to the chest?
Yeah, you want to go right up to the elbow on these guys. And, much the same as, say, your underline on even a pet trim, you want your underline on this trim to come right out from your elbow. And that's going to give your dog as much leg as possible. Especially if you have a dog that has a little less leg, you want to take that right up there, maybe even a little bit above the elbow,
And then now another thing that I've seen people do wrong is they set these way back on the rear. Can you tell us what is your measurement? Like, how do you determine where you're going to set those?
All right, sure. It depends on the dog. If they're shorter backed or longer backed, if you have a dog that's longer in the loin or longer backed, you may want to make them a little more oval. This guy's pretty square, so I have his nice and round. Basically what I do is when I set the rosettes, I usually start from the back. And you usually want to leave about 2 fingers from the base of your tail set here, so you find wherever your tail set is on the dog.
Okay.
And then measure about 2 fingers there, and that's about where you want to have the back side of your rosette. And then in the front, usually you find the last rib of the dog, and once again we use the 2-finger rule. I'm going to set about 2 fingers behind the last rib. And then, you don't want to have a big, huge space in here unless, again, like it's a really long dog. So you might want to do maybe about, I did about 3/4 of an inch here at line, just to get that nice round circle. You really have to eye it with this trim. There's no set way to do it. Every dog is different, so you really have to customize it for each dog and what their conformation is.
And as far as difficulty, would you rate this as a very difficult trim to achieve?
Yes.
I mean, some people do it in competition,
Yes.
and they rarely win with this competition because I think people don't set the lines right. Is that correct?
It is. It's easy to screw up. It's one of those trims that takes a lifetime to learn. I'm still learning. I still learn new things all the time. I never stop learning. And it's a difficult competition trim because there's just so much of it, and especially in the jacket, it's hard to get that perfect scissor finish that you could get on a dog with a shorter trim. So you really have to be on your game. You have to have a dog with the right coat to compete with this trim. This dog would actually be a very good dog to use in this trim because he has an incredible thick coat. A softer coat, it's just not going to work as good. You're not going to get that finish. I think if you can pull it off, it's very impressive, but you got to be hauling ass up there. I've done it a few times, and I'm sweating.
Are you currently showing this dog?
I am, yes. Yes, he's my special, so he's going to be going to Quinnipiac Poodle Club in a couple of weeks to get shown, and a couple of the Connecticut shows after that, and then we're going to see how he does and take it from there. So.
And is there any particular product when you're doing a poodle coat like this, you mentioned how dense and thick this is, that you find helps you when you're bathing and conditioning, anything that you would particularly use that helps people that are watching at home get through a thick coat like this?
Just, heavy conditioner, a lot of conditioner. You may even want to not rinse out a lot of it, leave some in, especially in this neck hair, because this tends to mat up like crazy. So, when you wash them, you may want to work a little bit of conditioner in with your hands, and even, leave it in, don't rinse it out all the way. For between shows. For the dog show itself, just like a grooming competition, you want to strip that coat out, make it as crispy as possible and as full as possible so it's easy to spray up.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
No problem.